There are so many things that we can invest in as homemakers and as mothers to try to ease the home management of our home. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of a minimalist. I invest in almost none of those fancy gadgets or anything. But today I wanted to take the time to share with you 3 things that I do think are worthwhile investments that actually help make homemaking easier. A really quick introduction for those of you who are new here. I am Tessa. I am a dairy farmer. I am a mom of 5, soon to be 6. We've got a couple dozen backyard laying hens. We've got a puppy. We homeschool, so it's a little bit of a zoo around here. So when I talk about mess and trying to stay on top of all of the laundry and dishes and messes that kids make underfoot all day, I've got a little bit of experience with that. And first of all, this post is not, or like this video is not sponsored in any sort of way. These are things that I've actually read a ton of reviews on and decided to invest my money in and have actually found they've made a huge difference in my life. So this is coming straight from the bottom of my heart, and I want to help make your life easier and tell you what's worth it, what's not. So these are 3 things that are totally worth it. The first one, we call her Kathy. No, it is not a nanny. No, it is not a housekeeper. It is actually a wet and dry vacuum by a company called Tineco. Now, I can't remember the exact level that we have, one of the lower, like mid to low models that I got on a Black Friday sale. And when we moved into our current home, it's all vinyl plank flooring. And we would have to sweep it and then mop it. And then I got a really cheap little stick vacuum that I don't regret that purchase. It didn't last very long. It was a really cheap one because my little ones really enjoy vacuuming with it. But then along came Kathy, and we call her Kathy. I'm not really big on naming things, like we don't name our vehicles or anything. But we call her Kathy because she's very chatty. She tells you when she's charging. She tells you when she needs to be charged. She tells you when she needs to be cleaned. She tells you what part of her needs to be cleaned and refilled and all this sort of stuff. So we call her Chatty Kathy. But anyways, Kathy, our wet and dry vacuum. This is a totally fantastic, like probably one of the biggest game changers for keeping my floors reasonably clean. And like I said, we've got this puppy who's supposed to be an outside dog, but she's just really little and adorable, so we kind of keep her in. But she still goes out for walks, and she actually like sleeps in the barn, so her feet get a little bit like gross. And then add on 5 children who are in and out of the house all the time. I mean, my floors get gross. And so what Kathy does is she will vacuum and mop at the same time. We used to have like 2 completely separate jobs. One was to vacuum or sweep the floors, and then the next was to mop. Kathy cuts our floor cleaning time in half, literally. Now, when you have, like I said, we need to do our floors regularly, like really regularly. And when you have a tool that can literally cut that time in half and is simple enough that even my almost 6-year-old loves to use this. And so here's the other thing is my 4 oldest are boys. So when I showed them there's a machine that can do this and they don't need to use the broom anymore, they were like, sweet, this is a gadget we can use. I'm not sure if that will appeal to my daughter quite as much, but the boys love using this machine. And I cannot for the life of me say that I ever regretted this purchase. I will say the one thing is it cleans the floors reasonably well. If there's like total stuck on mud, we still kind of need to scrub it, which, you know, not a big deal. As long as you do it on a regular basis, and most of you guys probably don't have, you know, muddy children's boots running through your home on an almost daily basis. I hope not anyways. But Kathy has been a game changer for my floors. And especially with baby number 6 coming around, who's going to be crawling on this floor. When you have little ones crawling around on your floor, you want something that's going to be, keep them clean, right? They get their little hands on the floor and put them in their mouths. So one thing about Tineco. It's a Tineco. That's what it's called. Sorry, so used to calling her Kathy. Okay, one thing with the Tineco is that they recommend you use their cleaning products. and it will probably void the warranty if you don't, but I use essential oil cleaning products in her anyways. And we've had her for about a year and a half and have had zero issues. So that's one thing. The other thing is she's not the easiest in the world to clean, but my older kids are perfectly capable, but the almost 6 and 9-year-old are a little bit, they're not quite thorough enough to be able to clean it. So it's kind of a team effort to clean it, but they can run it, but they can't clean it. Because you need to like get in there with a brush and stuff, so occasionally, every once in a while. So that is my first gadget that I have to share. I'm so excited about you. And like I said, I've been using this thing for a year and a half, at least, I think. Maybe it's been 2.5 years at this point even. And still love this. And it literally cuts your floor cleaning time in half. Second thing that I think is worth every homemaker investing into. It's going to sound a little bit unconventional for homemaking stuff. A big whiteboard, magnetic whiteboard. And the reason why is because when you have homemaking schedules and checklists and stuff, you want them to be visible to your family. You want them to be easy to maneuver. I used clipboards on the wall for a long time, but then the clipboards kept falling off. The whiteboard, I can just use like really cheap magnets and I can slap up a clean list every day. My older boys like to have what do you call that? Dry erase. Like we laminate their checklist so they can just erase it. But even so, if there's something extra that I want them to do, I can still write it on the whiteboard in between all of the charts. It's all contained into this board and I can switch things out. We can slap up memory verses on there if we want. We can put up meal plans if we want. It just has a flexibility. And yes, it takes up a decent amount of wall space. And it might not seem like an actual homemaking help, but when you have everything visible so that your whole family can see it every single time they walk past this whiteboard, it's going to be a lot more likely to get done. I used to have a home management binder, but the thing is, you close the binder and you stick it on a shelf, or even if you have it open on your counter, you have to flip open to the right page, whether it be your monthly checklist or your weekly checklist or your child chore checklist. It just gets to be so much everywhere. Have a space on your wall where you can put it all, swap things inside out, and you can add and delete as needed. So I don't have quite as much to share about my whiteboard. It's a pretty basic thing as I did about the Tinaco, but the reality is having that visible and accessible to your family where you walk by it every several times a day and you can just see everything on it, make those adaptations for your family, makes such a huge difference from a homemaking efficiency standard. Now, as if the whiteboard wasn't kind of like off kilter enough, the third thing that I'm going to share that is worth investing in is kind of a little unconventional, and you're going to have to hear me out as to why I think it's such a valuable thing to invest in. And I feel kind of silly saying this, but the reality is it does make a huge difference. And it is as simple as a pretty duvet cover for your bed. Yeah, I know. How in the world does that help with homemaking? The reality is your bedroom is supposed to be a zone of peace. If it is chaotic, if you don't enjoy being in there, if you walk in and you see things like, whether it be unopened mail or messy laundry or an unmade bed or like mediocre duvet cover and sheets, and you don't actually even like it that much, it's going to be that much more stressful for your body to wind down in there and get to sleep. And sleep is one of the most important things. It's one of the most important gifts we can give ourselves as mothers and as homemakers. Because if you are rested, you are going to have so much more patience with your kids. You're going to have so much more energy to actually do what you need to do during the day. And now I'm saying this as a mom who has had either been pregnant or had a night waking newborn or toddler for the past 16 years now. My 3-year-old still occasionally will wake at night, and then we're jumping back into the newborn phase. So when I say sleep is so critical in our roles as mothers and as homemakers, I am speaking from experience and necessity. When you wake up rested, you're going to be so much of a better mom. And one of the key things to that is creating a zone of peace within your bedroom. Even if I know some people can't get away from laundry or office in their room, but if you can make your bed something beautiful, something that you enjoy climbing into, that when you walk into your room and you see your duvet cover all spread out on your bed, that, I mean, let's face it, your bed is typically half of the room right there. So half your room is already clean if you make your bed. And then you can crawl into that place of beauty and peace. You're going to get that much better of a sleep. And it is worth investing in. And sleep overlays every single area of your life. Your mental health, your physical health, your ability to communicate with your children and your spouse is all hinging on sleep. And sleep becomes a lot more easier if you have a beautiful place to go sleep in. It sounds really frivolous. And like I said, I am kind of a minimalist, and I am rather frugal to say the least. It takes a lot for me to spend my money on pretty much anything, especially since we had been given a duvet cover for a wedding gift, my husband and I. We'd been given a duvet and a duvet cover. And it was like, it was not ugly. But when I finally decided that I wanted something pretty on my bed, I walk into my bedroom and I feel peace and I feel at home, like it's actually my space. So do yourself a favor and invest in something like a beautiful duvet cover so that you can get a beautiful night's sleep and be ready to tackle the day. So if you found value in these 3 rather unique homemaking investments that aren't really technically being talked about by a lot of other people out there, they're not something that most people would recommend. I also have a video that's 3 hacks to make your morning more productive. And they're rather unconventional, not your usual tips. I think you might enjoy that video as well. So it's on the screen right now. Go ahead and click on it.